Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this new figure unboxing and review, we're going to be looking at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Core Class Thundercracker figure. So what we're going to do with this video, we're going to unbox him live in a second, have a look at the entire contents of the packaging. We can then have a detailed look at him in both of his modes to help you decide how you want to display him. We can then of course complete the original trio of Seekers, as we've got the other two already available in Core Class, as well as having a look at some of the other Core Class figures that have been released in the same toy line. And then of course, because he's Thundercracker, there's loads of comparisons we can do. I've just selected a few rather than all of them. We've got his original Generation 1 self there, which you can barely see. We've got his newer updated of his Generation 1 self, which is very similar to the actual colour scheme you've got there. And of course we've got one of his more recent ones, where this is his Earthrise version, which is a little bit more based on appearance as to what he looks like now, rather than getting out all the crazy obscure ones, apart from just one, because it'll be interesting to see him compared with his Action Master version of himself as well. So there you go, you can see quite a few things to get through with this video today. So as I start to pop all these away, I'd like to remind anybody who's not subscribed to this channel, if they'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now please, because it really will help me out. And the other thing as well is I need to thank In Demand Toys in the UK. That's the online shop in which I purchased this from. Also, very quickly before we open the box, we're going to have a look at the beautiful artwork on it. But for those of you who are unaware, what you can do if you keep your figures in box, you can get two to put them side by side, and you can complete the lovely Legacy Evolution artwork there, which is again fantastic. Right, so because he's in his robot mode at the front, we've got the alternate mode above there, which just looks great. Windowless unfortunately, but you can see the figure, which again I think is amazing. I love this Core Class mold. It is so clever. And there's a beautiful again picture of him in his robot mode on the side. Right, let's set him free and have a decent look at him. And as I've said, I'm a big fan of this mold. You know, once you get the one Seeker, you're going to get them all. But thankfully with this, they've gone back to his normal arm cannons, arm guns. I forgot the correct name. I'll remember them in a second, but they're not null rays. But we've gone back to these, which is, of course, cluster bombs, I think they might be actually called. We've gone back to these, which is spectacular. It's way better than what Skywarp had. And to be honest, because these aren't tie wrapped in now, you can see I can pretty much do exactly this. I can open him up, fingers crossed, and we can set him free straight away. And because we've seen this mold a couple of times already, I'm still going to show you the main things, but not be as detailed as the rest, because I do have videos already on Skywarp and of Starscream. But this is good for you if you've never seen one taken straight out of the package, and how he looks as fresh as this. I mean, look at that, that's really clever. They go right through his hands just to ensure that he is fully safely secured. So we can also tell, you can't tell just yet, that his legs, there's the instructions as well, by the way, there's his legs that are fully attached together as well. So if we separate them, what we'll do is we'll have a look at him in his robot mode. Lovely look at the head sculpts. Remember, this is a Core Class figure, and it's not like, you know, one of your really expensive Legend scale ones. This is just your standard Core Class figure, full head articulation. You can see we've got ball and socket joints in the shoulders and in the biceps. There is not a waist swivel because of the way the transformation process is, but there's ball and sockets in the hips. There's ball and socket in the knees, ankle, tilt. No, there's not. But again, remember, it's a Core Class figure, and it's not too gappy either, which is very good. The accessories that come with him, as I say, we've got these. I'm pretty sure somebody corrected me and said they were cluster bombs, because everybody refers to them as being null rays, but of course they're real. In real terms, they're iconic and only belong to Starscream. Right, we might as well go straight into some comparisons and display ideas whilst he's in his robot mode. So here are the original two again. Not the original two, the previous two uses of the mold. This is Starscream. He was originally released in the Kingdom toy line. He's having a package refresh for Legacy Evolution. And then this is what I mean with Skywarp. He was given this particular weapon, which is okay if he'd have got it as well, but he didn't. He got just that. And unfortunately, he needs his proper arm cannons. Let's be honest, he really does. However, these, again, for their size, and for their price point are fantastic. If you want to do a quick couple of comparisons with some of the other legend scale figures, so these are not Hasbro or Takara, that's a New Age figure, and that's a Magic Square one, just to give you an idea of scale and size. I'm going to move them. Let's have a look again for a bit of fun in a second. Let's just move. In fact, we can keep him in. Sound Blast is exactly the same toy line as well, so these all scale perfectly. Here's one of the most obscure versions of Thundercracker, which I really hope we get in the Shattered Glass world, because that is where, of course, they got the idea from. This is the European exclusive G1 Action Master Thundercracker, and as I've said, that's where they got the idea of the Shattered Glass version of him from, so fingers crossed we get an update of him soon as well. While we're here, we can have a look at G1 Original on the one side, which you can see is a much different shade of blue, and then this is, funnily enough, Movie G1 Original, which is an even lighter shade of blue. It sounds like a step song. And then just finally for this, we're going to move, that's probably, obviously, if you've heard of Steps, you'll get that. That's his Earthrise version. So he does pretty good up against all these. Looks really good. Right, let's have a look at him then in his alternate mode. Okay, then we're back, and very quickly, he's in his alternate mode already. Quick apologies for no transformation process on this video. Couple of reasons. The first is to keep the main length of this video down, and the second is not to spoil it for anybody. Sometimes I do the transformation process on the core class video, but I have to confess to you, this is a beautiful and a very intricate transformation process. As you can see on the back, even though it's only a small figure, it takes 17 steps to transform him. So if you've not seen this, I really don't want to spoil it for you. I think that you'd like to experience it for yourself because of just how clever it is. However, there is a tutorial video going up on this channel as well if you want to have a look at it. But look at this, it's great. It's really nicely detailed. More so, as I say, I should have picked this out a little more when he was in robot mode, that we've got the lovely, as I say, detail that was on his chest. The faux cockpit there at the front, which you can see is of course not the real one. There's no landing gear, unfortunately, again due to the size, but we can of course attach these underneath like so. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this, to be honest. You can pop them up on what were the shoulders like so. That's of course more traditional, which you can see there, but also of course his hands are underneath, so if you wanted to, you could position these at the front just as a little display idea. Now unfortunately with this guy there's no 5mm ports anywhere, so that means unfortunately you can't do any of the sort of building up the weapons, etc. You could also, if you wanted to, I think I'm saying this, I'm not 100% sure, perhaps not, no, it won't fit because the head does get in the way. I thought you perhaps might be able to get it under there, but as you can see you can't. And these of course scale brilliantly with your Titan figures, and indeed I suppose just whatever you're collecting, depends if you're collecting legends or smaller figures. Ideal on space saving, very detailed, very articulate, and they look great. In honesty, as I say, there isn't much more to say about this guy. He is fantastic. If you want to see the other two, they are in their own reviews. They are, of course, as I say, Starscream, but he's under the Kingdom toy line. And indeed Skywalk, because he was under the first Legacy, so he's just under Legacy rather than Legacy Evolution. But I'm going to wind this up right now because there's nothing more to say about him. He's a beautiful looking core class little seeker and my favourite of the three, mainly down to the colour scheme. Let me know what your favourite is in the comments, and of course take care.